Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The SEC tells the judge that Ripple is, quote, abusive and unreasonable, end quote, and cries over the lawsuit that they created. Wah, wah, wah. Oh, I'm so sorry for you, SEC. So what I'm referencing here is a recent legal filing from literally just yesterday, and the SEC is not happy with Ripple. As you will soon see in a moment, you'll understand why. It led to this headline from Finance Feeds. Ripple buries SEC in paperwork in XRP lawsuit. Nearly 30,000 requests. So look, I've got a couple comments from attorney Jeremy Hogan, who of course is the attorney within the XRP community, runs the very popular and successful YouTube channel Legal Briefs. So I want to share with you a couple of things that he had to say on this as well. But it does seem to me that this complaint that the SEC has, we'll see how the court takes it, but regardless, this is clearly of the SEC's own making. Now, I do want to be clear at the outset, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby, just for fun. That is all that's going on here, damn it. And if you don't like it, well, you can just get out. Before jumping into that, though, I do want to mention this. As I record this, it is October 1st. What the hell time is it? 5:50 a.m. So Friday, October 1st, and that's Central Standard Time for me anyway. But I want to let you know, in case you haven't heard, that attorney John Deaton, who of course is the attorney seeking to intervene in the SEC versus Ripple case on behalf of now over 22,000 XRP holders, he is going to be on television today. He's going to be on Fox Business Network. And he's going to be speaking with Charles Gasparino and Liz Clayman. So he tweeted out the following. I'm scheduled to appear with Charles Gasparino during the Liz Clayman Countdown show on Fox Business from 3 to 4 p.m. I believe I will be on sometime between 3:30 to 3:45, but tune in at 3 and watch Liz Countdown, the final hour of trading. It's definitely better than that other channel, right? And so, given that I believe he's on the East Coast, I'm assuming that this is Eastern time here. So just whatever time zone you're in, just account accordingly. Another way to find it out is just Google the Liz Clayman show here, Countdown Show, and just find out what time it's on. So, there's lots of ways, since we have the sum of all human knowledge at our fingertips via the Webernets, like you can figure this stuff out here. But yeah, he didn't share the time. So, but I think this is cool as hell, and I just love that you have mainstream media here really digging into this case, and it seems very clear that, look, Charles Gasparino, he's coming in unbiased. He's just going where the evidence is taking him, and he's acknowledging that there's a lot going on here. There's lots of evidence. But let's go ahead now and jump into this most recent legal filing. Shout out to James K Feilin for serving the XRP community. He has shared the most recent legal filing. He's on this, man. I'll tell you what. Just very diligently. Every time there's a new filing, he's just posting it on Twitter. And so I just wanted to give a big thanks to him. And so what I did was, you hear this? Yeah, I got some dead trees in my hands right here, my little Moon Lambo fingers. And I highlighted the portions that I found the most relevant. I'm going to share with you what it said and some of my thoughts. Now, this document is not as long as the last one I had to cover, which is like 21 pages. This thing's only 6 pages, and the 6th one is just like a signature. So not a crazy amount to cover. So I might actually be able to keep this video like probably reasonably short. But let's go ahead and dig in here. Oh, and actually, you need to know this too. Jeremy Hogan, he stated, because you're going to need to know this term. It's highly relevant before I dig into any of this. There's a term, requests for admission, right? Because Ripple's made about 30,000 requests for admission. And so there's somebody here on Twitter, here for XRP, asking, what is a request for admission in layman's terms? And Jeremy Hogan responded with the following. Requests for admission are formal yes or no questions you can use to narrow the issues in a case. For example, car accident case. Admit that you struck plaintiff's car from behind. If it is admitted, that fact is now locked in and doesn't require any evidence at trial. And so you can imagine that a lot of these requests for admissions that Ripple has made, a lot of them they're probably just one-liners. They could be really short stuff, 1, 2, 3 sentences, whatever. You could imagine it would probably look something like that. And so the the document begins as follows here. Dear Judge Knepper, this is from the SEC. Plaintiff Securities and Exchange Commission respectfully requests a conference in order to seek a proactive order relieving the SEC of any obligation to respond to the 29,947 separate requests for admission, totaling more than 5,000 pages, that defendants Ripple Labs, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson jointly served on August 31st, 2021, during the final 6 hours of fact discovery. And check this out. This is probably going to make you chuckle a little bit. Because that's a lot of requests for admissions. Check this out. The SEC is not thrilled, and I am not sympathetic, to be honest. But here's what they wrote: these requests impose an extreme, disproportionate, and unnecessary burden on the SEC. Oh, the poor widow SEC can't handle the paperwork. Asshats. And would require months of sustained work by the SEC's counsel in order to prepare appropriate responses. More specifically, if a single this is hilarious, please listen to this. More specifically, if a single SEC attorney spent an average of only 5 minutes reading and answering each request without breaks or sleep, it would require nearly 104 days to respond. Well, I'll tell you what, SEC, you better get cracking then. You better get cracking. And so on that point, this is what attorney Jeremy Hogan had to say about this. He wrote, 30,000 requests for admission is an astonishing number. And then he noted in parentheses, I serve around 25 to 30. So I guess that would be normal for one of his cases. And then he writes the following. But keep in mind that it was the SEC who decided to wait 7 years before filing the lawsuit, and decided that it would argue that all continuing sales of XRP are securities. This lawsuit covers 9 years. So folks, think about it. Like, this is number 11 billion and 5. Why I just don't have any sympathy here. And so I don't know what is normal, because I don't have a legal background. I don't know what the court's going to decide on this. Maybe it goes in the SEC's favor. Maybe it doesn't. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that I'm not sympathetic, because the SEC, those bunch of asshats, they waited the better part of a decade to bring all this out. And you know what? There probably wouldn't be 30,000 freaking requests for admission if they had just been responsible and maybe been a little bit more proactive in the early years instead of jumping. Well, now they're reactive. Fine, you can argue that filing the legal claim is proactive, but they're reacting to the evolution of this entire asset class over the span of almost a decade. That's what they did here. And so, you know what? There might not have been about 30,000 requests for admission if you just done your damn job and provided some freaking clarity back almost a decade ago. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right here. And then you have the audacity to claim that all XRP, even sold today, between parties having nothing to do with Ripple, that constitutes an unregistered securities transaction? Are you serious? So so if I sell my XRP to a friend, that's an unregistered securities transaction? Yeah, that's what the SEC's arguing. And so everything ongoing. So it's not surprising that there's a crazy quantity. And again, I don't know. I don't pretend to know what's going to happen, but I think that Jeremy Hogan's point here is rather salient. It's well received on my end, that's for sure. The SEC did this to themselves. Okay? Waiting this long to bring a suit, letting everything pile up, and then just the numbers, they get more and more, just completely overwhelming in terms of the dollar figure. Because don't forget too, they're saying that this is a $1.3 billion claim against Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. Again, if they had just done their freaking job almost a decade ago, it wouldn't be $1.3 billion, and you wouldn't cause multi-billion-dollar damages to XRP holders. But you don't give a damn, do you, SEC? No, you don't. Because, why? Because you're asshats. You're just asshats. And then there was this, and this is where they gets into the ridiculous language. And so, look, the SEC, how they're characterizing this, maybe it's just the case that it's that it's just a common way to word things in the the world of law and legal actions here. I don't care. It's still laughable. It's still laughable. So check this out. Here's what the SEC wrote. Counsel for the SEC and the defendants have discussed the dispute several times by email and have conferred during video conferences on September 10th and 17th. However, the parties have not been able to resolve their differences and remain at impasse. Accordingly, the SEC respectfully requests that the court enter an appropriate protective order and disallow defendants' abusive and unreasonable requests for admission. Well, you know what? I request that you just drop this damn abusive and unreasonable case that you filed against Ripple, which is also harming the investors that your mission statement claims you're here to protect. Could we do that? I'd be down with that. I don't think you're going to, but that would be a good start. And so, hold on one second here. Yeah, so here you go. Oh, yeah. And so here's a tweet from Jeremy Hogan, because an XRP community member was noting that 30,000, yeah, that's a lot of requests for admissions. And Jeremy Hogan tweeted out the following also. He wrote, "It is a lot of requests for admissions, but keep in mind that because of the time involved from 2013 and continuing, we are apparently dealing with over 1,500 sales contracts." Exactly, which is why, again, I'm just saying, the SEC did this to themselves, and now they're crying like little babies. Little bitch-ass babies. Can't even, like, walk or feed themselves. I'm just saying, man. And then we've got this. So, I understand. Like, it seems from our perspectives, because, again, I'm a layperson, no legal background, like I keep saying. It seems so clear that the SEC could not be more obvious. And so I can understand how my fellow XRP community members can get a little frustrated that this case is still going on. Totally respect where you're coming from if you're one of those people, for sure. But some people are now concerned, and I think it's only a minority of the XRP community, that perhaps something's going on with the judges. Are they bought out by the SEC? One person on your screen here wrote, I do not subscribe to that concept at all. And so here's something that Gray XRP shared in response to this concept. There's a member of the XRP community who wrote, "Judge Netburn is doing it this way in order to prevent the SEC from having an appeal granted post-judgment because she failed to allow SEC every chance to plead their case to the court. Her generosity toward the pleadings helps Ripple reply to their buffoonery. 5D chess, fam." And then in a separate tweet, he tagged attorney Jeremy Hogan and asked, "Do I have this right?" And attorney Jeremy Hogan actually responded, and he wrote, "Yes. The Fifth Amendment requires everyone, including the SEC, have due process. The SEC is entitled to engage in discovery and have a fair hearing after all the evidence is collected. And that is exactly what is happening." So there you go. So good job, Gray XRP, on the fine analysis. And don't forget, Jeremy Hogan, he pointed this out too the other day, and I mentioned it's worth repeating though. Despite how overwhelming the evidence seems to be at this point, and I know that the case hasn't, like the court, it hasn't actually started. We're in pre-trial hearings, like the trial hasn't started. But as far as the idea of it, ending, like the idea that it should have ended by now, just based on what we've seen to this point, yeah, I would love that. But Jeremy Hogan pointed out that legally, I think it was Jeremy Hogan. It could have been one of the other, maybe it was John Deaton. No, I think it was Jeremy Hogan. Pointed out that the other day that the case can't end. The case can't end before legally. It can't. The judge cannot legally end this case before summary judgment. It just does not have that power. So we've got to go through it in this methodical way. And I say, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. But, we can kind of sleep easy. It doesn't seem like that. Just knowing that there's such strong evidence here, I think the SEC is going to cave and going to want to, because it's so bad for them. I think they're going to want to settle, but if they don't, they're going to have a bad day in court. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.